It's Electric Focus, and recently I reported on an issue I was having with a Jaguar I-PACE where this warning message kept coming up. Okay to drive with caution, high voltage system fault detected. Now I'd already had it taken in once and I then arranged for it to go in again for the same problem. So this is the conclusion as to what happened. So let's get into the video. If you've watched my previous video, you'll know that I had this warning message come up when I was charging on high power chargers, and eventually I couldn't charge at all, and I took the car in to be looked at, and Jaguar had an assessment of it, and they said they'd done some sort of reset to the battery modules and that they tested it and it was working fine. And then I took the car away because I was charging mainly at home for a while. I hadn't noticed any problems until I started to go on longer trips, and then on a long trip this warning message came up again. It didn't prevent me from charging, but it was there. So I was starting to get concerned again that the fault hadn't been fixed. I thought it may be just a one-off because it just disappeared after it had appeared. But then I went on a long trip again, and this time I stopped to charge, and when I tried to charge, it wouldn't charge at all, and the port was flashing red, which is the same thing that happened before. And I tried a few times and still couldn't get it to work. So I then thought it may be something to do with the software detecting when the battery gets warm, it thinks there's a fault, and it could be just a software issue. So that was just a kind of logical conclusion I was making, because it still seemed to be driving fine. It wasn't stopping me charging over 72%, which is what it's meant to do with this update, the H441 update that Jaguar did to detect any battery faults. So I went inside the service station where I was and had a break for a bit and came back to the car thinking that that's given it time to cool down, the battery to cool down. And then I tried charging again and it worked. So I thought, well, that does seem to be, that could be the issue. Anyway, I continued on my journey. Next day I tried to charge and it was fine. I'd only had to drive just down the road, so on a cold battery it charged fine. So again, that's kind of pointing towards this is a software issue. And then after the charge, the warning came up again, which is when the battery's hot, right? So I didn't really know for sure, but it just seemed to be that was starting to make sense. It's a software problem. I'm hoping it was a software problem. It wasn't actually a problem with the battery, and it could still be. So I had it arranged to go in, and as I said on my last video, it's at the end of the lease now, so 4-year lease. So I had to take it in and leave it there because it wasn't coming back. I'm getting a new car, which I'll do a video on very soon. But I wanted to keep in touch with Jaguar to see what happened so that I can share it with you. Was it a battery fault or was it a software issue? Well, the good news is it wasn't a battery fault. So they tell me anyway. They said that it was a software issue. They did a software update and that rectified the problem. They discharged the battery, recharged it back up on high power charging, and the warning message was not coming up. Everything tested fine. So they're saying that the battery's fine and it's just a software problem which was fixed. Now that's good news, because if I had still had the car, it would have been pretty devastating to find out the battery was at fault. And I've seen from other people on forums that can be quite a long wait sometimes to get the battery sorted. So good news in the end. A bit frustrating that it happened. As I've said on my review video for the 4 years of having this car, probably the biggest frustration has been that not about the issues so much I've had, because I haven't said that spoilt the enjoyment of having the car. I would say it's that Jaguar haven't fixed those issues first time, and then that just caused more frustration and you're never really sure whether it's going to be fixed. But anyway, overall, it's a bit of good news. So if you've got this issue I hope that it's just a software issue for you and it's not a more problematic battery issue. But that's the update. As always, thanks for watching and I'll speak to you soon.